Well, welcome, Dennis.
What handouts do you have?
Well, you didn't bring any handouts, so if you did, we can hand them out.
All right, I just want to make sure what you did there. So this is the handout that everybody has?
Right, well, that's the meeting notes, and it's got some
but
of
you
the...
don't have any streetcar handouts.
Right, because... Anyways.
Okay, well, what I am going to do then is talk about our organization, what we're doing, what the status of our organization is and our timeline, and then probably open it up to questions. I don't want to get too lengthy into some of the technical details. I think that if there's one thing you take away from this, golastreetcar.org is our website. So golastreetcar.org has anything and everything that you want to know, at least the technical details about our organization. It has copies of the routes and the alignments that are on there, which usually I have a slide presentation that I can show you that stuff. But since we're not doing that today, I encourage you to go to the website and check out the routes, check out the alignments, check out everything that we have there on the website. So that's starters, and all the technical stuff is there. So as I think most of you know, we are trying to build a streetcar system in downtown Los Angeles, specifically right in the heart of downtown. So I guess, first of all, how did we get there and who are we? So our organization is a nonprofit organization by the name of Los Angeles Streetcar. And we are comprised of the public and the private sector. So we're a true public-private partnership, and there's a lot of different definitions of what that means. But we are a public-private partnership in that we have our board of directors consists of the private sector and the property owners that are some of the major property owners in downtown. It's got some Broadway contingent on it from the theater owners. It's got AEG. It's got McGuire Properties, the largest landowner, at least in our area downtown. And then we've got our public sector as well. So we've got Councilmember Jose Huizar, we've got Councilmember Jan Perry from the public side who runs through both of their districts. We also have, as a kind of quasi-representative of the rest of the property owners, each of our business improvement district executive directors. So Russ and all of the other various bids that we go through are also on our board. So therefore they can convey the information that's discussed out to the rest of the property owners, the people, the businesses, and the people that the streetcar would affect. So that's how we've organized ourselves. It really came out of but the streetcar has been around, as I think most of you know more than I do. The idea of bringing the streetcar back has been around for quite some time. It's been kind of floating around the CRA for a number of years. But it really got, I think, legs and traction again when Councilmember Huizar took office and decided that bringing back Broadway was going to be one of his primary objectives during his term. And so he started to gather around a representation of the property owners on Broadway and asked, how can we make Broadway better? And I think the discussions ranged from everything from clean up the trash on the street to put a streetcar on Broadway. And I think everybody had a different opinion about what was the right or the wrong thing to do. And what ended up happening is when they took a trip up to Portland and Seattle and they saw the streetcar systems up there and they saw what it did for those communities, I think they quickly realized that the real way to clean up Broadway and make that a better street is to have something like a streetcar that links the rest of downtown. And so they started researching the ideas and putting it together, and eventually what we, I guess, called the steering committee at that time, was decided to form up an organization that would eventually lead the efforts to get the streetcar built. They selected me as the executive director to run that organization. My background is as a real estate developer. That's my training. So I was and still am a real estate developer in downtown Los Angeles. I did many of the adaptive reuse and other buildings that are in downtown. I work for a company called the Core Group, and so we did 6 or 7 different buildings around the downtown area. I am passionate about development, I'm passionate about downtown, and I'm passionate about making downtown a better place, and kind of always have been. I'm on the Land Use Leadership Committee for the Urban Land Institute. I chair the Infrastructure Committee for that, so I kind of hold myself out as an urban developer in a lot of ways. It's about building many things that I think downtown in Los Angeles needs, not just the buildings, not just the transit, it's the infrastructure, it's everything else that we need to make downtown a better place. And so I was selected to do that. Part of that was because of my affiliation with Broadway and the Eastern Columbia building, and part of it was my connections to a lot of the different property owners and the phase that we're in now, which is to figure out how we get the funding together. And it's what I always like to joke about is that building a streetcar, although I don't have any transit experience, and don't ever hold myself out to you, the process of doing the streetcar system are sometimes the same as doing a development deal. You've got to figure out what it is and figure out where your financing is going to come from, and then you've got to get your entitlements or your approvals from the city. You've got to get your design, your engineering, and your architects and your contractors together. Eventually you do the construction, and then you deliver it. So that doesn't change a little lot from what we do in the development world, although it does obviously change a lot in the metrics that you need to look at and how you prove out if your project is viable or not. And so that's where I lean on my board and all of the various other kind of consultants and people that we use that do have the expertise in the transit area to help us out in those arenas. So that's our organization, who we are and how we're made up. The downtown LA streetcar itself, the concept of it was where it started was to figure out, okay, we know we need an internal circulator in downtown, or that's what we think we need at least. So we've got several methods that do that now. We've got the dash, we've got different bus lines that go through downtown, although besides the dash, most of the buses in downtown are actually throughput buses. So they come from somewhere else, they go through downtown, and they leave to another area. Very few of them actually circulate around downtown. But we needed to circulate people around downtown. And you certainly can do that with a bus, but I think what the purpose of the streetcar is that it separates itself from a bus or other forms of transportation in the economic development that it creates around the line. And so that's kind of where we as an organization are passionate about that. It's about the transit, there's no question about that, and it's about a different way to get around. However it may be different from a bus, it's just different. But it's also about the economic development that it creates. It's about the permanence, we always like to say, of those rails and potentially wires or whatever else goes in the ground or overhead that you hope isn't going to move for a number of years. We never say never anymore, because it was there before and it went away. But it's in the ground, and it's a permanent fixture and a factor. And that allows the investment community and the development community and the businesses and the stakeholders in the area to have the confidence and the comfort to invest along that route and within a factor of however you want to figure it out along next to that route. As opposed to a bus system, which if somebody decides one day it needs to up and move to another street, it can up and move to another street. And so that's probably the main difference. And when people ask us all the time, well, why not do a bus system? It's cheaper. Well, capital cost, it is cheaper, that's for sure, but it doesn't have the economic development stimulus that the streetcar has. And there's also some questions as to what the long-term maintenance and other costs and operating costs are of the buses versus streetcar as well. It's, I think, an area that's up for debate. So that's our primary bus versus streetcar route. And I think it's like I said, it's those permanence of the rails, it's that economic development that really allows a streetcar to be the differentiator, which is something that we think is not a game changer, but more of an external facilitator. We had a really good resurgence in downtown Los Angeles over the last 10 years with the adaptive reuse ordinance and all the other development that came around and other areas that had some buildings that were built. So we had done some really good things for downtown, but it stopped, like all the rest of the development, or most of it in Los Angeles did as well. And we feel this is the stimulus, so to speak, that can help make some of those projects viable again, and hopefully jumpstarts those, and that means jobs. It means dollars that are spent on the system that stay in the system. There's the economic multiplier effect and a lot of those types of things. And so that was really the reason why you do that. And so then when you start to figure out that you want to do a streetcar and why a streetcar seems like the method to choose, then you have to figure out, well, where is it going to run? And that has to serve two purposes. One, where is it best for transit, ridership, and connections to other modes of transit, whether it be light rail, subway, other buses, bicycles, even foot traffic, or one thing we definitely like to highlight is also automobiles. It's important to note that we're not naive enough to think that everybody's going to stop driving the car, and certainly in Los Angeles. So how about the people that don't have access to the type of transit they want to use can drive downtown, but only park once, instead of having to park 3 or 4 times to go where they want to go and pay $5, $10, $15 and circle around and do it. Park one time in a lot, and then take the streetcar around to where you want to go. So it's connecting to all those transit nodes was the primary goal. And then the secondary goal was then to run it in areas where people wanted to travel from, back and forth. And then we like to say the key to the streetcar is to run it through an area that needs that economic development stimulus. And so in Los Angeles, in downtown, what we figured out was people want to go from north and south downtown today. They want to go from the Disney concert hall